What's up, man? Hector here, StrongestHec.com. If you're new to this channel, my name is Hector Gutierrez. I'm the founder of the Hardstyle Fitness Academy here in Corpus Christi, Texas, where we've helped over 1,200 guys and gals just like you build stronger, leaner, and more capable bodies in about 90 minutes a week so you can spend more time doing what it is that you enjoy and less time being the best at exercise. If that sounds like you, you're in the right spot. Let's go ahead and dive into today's episode. All right, if you're new to this series, we just capped off a previous 3-part series around building a foundation of strength through stability. So be sure to check out that video series if you're new to this. That way you can get some good context of what it is that we've been covering. Okay, so today we're gonna be breaking this down into 3 parts. 3-part series on around 3 kettlebell exercises to boost your strength endurance, ultimately to allow you to get the most out of your kettlebell workouts, okay? And what we're gonna be focusing on today is the kettlebell press. And we're gonna be breaking down a few of its variations. And if you watched previous episode, we broke down some exercises into static motor control and dynamic motor control, where we had you in a half kneeling position, right? Kind of like a 90-90 position. This is a great place to press from when building up your press, alternating sides, okay? Because what happens here is when you're in this asymmetrical stance, you're gonna be pressing, so whatever knee is down, you're pressing with the opposite side. So you're kind of creating these 2 opposite actions here, okay? So one, we're static on one side, dynamic on the other side. So creating this cross body stabilization movement pattern, okay? So whenever my hip is an extension on one side, my shoulder is going into flexion on the other side. So one, I'm lower body static, upper body dynamic, okay? And that's what we're gonna work on today. So I encourage you to practice this from a half kneel position, okay? And today we're gonna cover 3 press variations. Number 1 is the traditional kettlebell press. So I recommend half kneel position. Keep the majority of your weight over this down knee, okay? You don't wanna have your weight front loaded into this front leg, making you more quad dominant. So if I turn to the side here, you wanna keep everything aligned more over this knee, okay? So shoulder, hip, knee, all this in alignment, all right? And you're just gonna work on your presses from this position, okay? What we're looking for here is as you're pressing, you wanna make sure you can keep this hip into extension. You don't want your hip to be kicking back. So you don't want your hip to kick back as you press, okay? If your hip starts to kick back while you press, that's an indicator that you've got some core work to do. And if you got more core work to do, usually what's happening, the reason why your hips are kicking out, a couple of reasons. You either got really tight hip flexors, well, that's probably the primary reason. You got tight hip flexors, and your hip flexors are trying to become your abs to stabilize, to get the job done, okay? So if you've got that going on, you gotta get that cleaned up, all right? If you're feeling pressure in your lower back while you're pressing, again, you probably have some hip flexor stuff, hip flexor tightness going on. That's something that you need to get cleaned up before you go into heavier presses. So I always like to work on, whenever we take our students through and we're teaching them how to press, it's a good foundation to start down on the knees because you kind of take some of the legs out of the equation, okay? Standing, you can recruit more of the leg drive. Half kneeling, tall kneeling, you kind of eliminate some of that, okay? So I recommend starting half kneel position, 90-90, keeping the majority of your weight over this down knee, and you're gonna work on repping out your presses. So whatever knee is down, you're pressing with the opposite side, or just look at it as whatever leg is up, you're pressing on that same side. That way you're getting shoulder flexion while trying to maintain hip extension on the same side, okay? That's press variation number 1, traditional, and I think that kind of, if you've been pressing for a while, pretty self-explanatory. The next kettlebell press variation that's really good that I recommend that you practice is the waiter press, right? So literally like a waiter holding a tray. So these next 2 variations, what they're gonna do is they're gonna change the center of mass of the bell, requiring different muscles to activate, okay? Getting a different response from the shoulder, from the grip, from the flexors of the forearm, from the extensors of the forearm as you're going into the press. So the waiter press is going to simulate more of like a barbell style press, right? So if you grab a barbell, you can't keep your wrist like completely neutral because you risk the bar rolling out of your hands. You want some slight extension so that way you put pressure on the heel of the palm, which triggers and gets the tricep to fire, okay? So when you're in the waiter press, you're kind of in this like slightly extended wrist position. kind of simulating a little bit of that barbell press. The weighted press is going to be more challenging because you don't have the luxury of crushing the handle of the bell, because now you're just kind of, in a sense, balancing the weight here, okay? But removing the center of mass from hanging out, okay? So the kettlebell is a live weight. What does that mean? A live weight meaning when I grab a dumbbell or a barbell, the weight sits in my hand, okay? When I grab a kettlebell, I'm grabbing the handle, so the weight is displaced. So the weight is now offset, changing the center of mass. And that's why there's many benefits to the kettlebell press over many other press variations, because as that bell moves through space, the center of mass is changing, okay? And as the center of mass changes, it recruits more of the shoulder and many other muscles that support that press. That's why you'll see people that praise the press or the snatch for healing their shoulders, okay? Because you're just getting much more recruitment, really stimulating the shoulder, the rotator cuff, many more benefits to that. So when we shift to the weighted press, you're changing that center of mass, all right? So how I recommend getting in the weighted press is you're going to hold the bell vertical, little cheat swing, and then catch it here at the top, right? So almost like a bottom-up press, but then you're just catching the bell here, okay? And you're gonna sit right off to your side. Keep your form as vertical as possible. Keep your eyes on this one. I like to keep my eyes on it because it's not like me hooking the bell like a traditional press where I don't have to look because I know it's locked in. For the weighted press, I recommend kind of using your eyes and keeping and tracking the bell as you press, okay? Bring it back in. Squeeze your glutes. Okay, so you'll notice right away that you don't have that luxury of crushing the handle because the center of mass is just too big, okay? And you're just gonna work on your press from there. Again, I recommend doing this. You can do this in a tall kneel like I'm doing here, or in an asymmetrical stance, or i.e. half kneeling lunge position, okay? So you'll cheat clean the bell up, catch it with the palm, just like so, okay? You'll notice the wrist is in a slight extension, a little bit of a tight grip on the bell. You're not gonna be able to crush it very much. Inhale, press, okay? You don't have to completely look up. I just like to focus my eyes up. If I can catch a little bit of that bell in my periphery, I'm good. So that is pressing the bell that way, like the barbell, more the weight sets in the hand. And then you can work on building more strength or just get stronger in that press position, because now you don't have the luxury of a full crush grip. It's just pure tricep, kind of like tricep pressing overhead. So if you have a limited kettlebell selection, let's say you only have a 16 and a 24 or a 16 and a 20, but you don't have a 24 and you want to make your press more challenging, go from the traditional press to the weighted press. The last variation is just good old-fashioned bottom-up press. I actually think the bottom-up press is going to do more for you in terms of teaching you how to press well than any other press variation, because it's self-correcting. If the wrist breaks, if you don't have a nice strong grip on the bell, you're just going to lose the position. If you don't have the right alignment, wrist, elbow, you don't have all that stuff aligned properly, you're not going to be able to maintain the bell in the bottom-up position. So it trains the grip. So the stronger our grip becomes, the healthier the shoulder becomes, right? And so on and so forth. So if we've got a stiff neck or if we've got a weak grip, it's going to affect our shoulder, because the shoulder is kind of like in between, right? Kind of like with your elbow. If you're having elbow issues, like I do, if you have elbow issues, usually the problem is below the joint or above the joint, okay? So same thing with the shoulder. If you've got shoulder problems, there's usually something going on in the neck, maybe even down to the grip, okay? So the bottom-up press variation addresses those things. So when you're doing the bottom-up press, don't grab it like you would like a traditional dumbbell, okay? Or even like you're getting ready to hook it to do a kettlebell press. You actually want to be almost like like in a push-up position, right? Like you're gonna get ready to do push-ups on top. And what that does is that gets that full, like the full part of your palm here, and it really hits this corner part of the heel. That part of the heel is crucial because that's what gets the tricep to turn on, okay? There's a nerve there, triggers the tricep to turn on, okay? So I recommend grabbing there and then getting a nice strong grip, almost like you're gonna do a push-up on the kettlebell. And then you can either just, if it's light enough, grab it, pick it up. But if it's heavy enough, swing, catch here. And then work on balancing the bell. Same thing like the bottom up. I like to keep my eyes on the bell since it's in an unstable position. And you're gonna see some wobbling, some moving around, and that's good. That forces you to keep a strong grip on the bell. And then press. Keep your eyes on the bell. Forearm has to stay vertical. If my forearm changes position, if my wrist breaks, if my grip is not strong enough or have a tight grip, I'll lose position. Okay, I recommend practicing that tall kneel, and even in a half kneel position. Don't be alarmed also if your abs are sore or if you really feel your abs engaged when doing the bottom-up press. The more you engage the grip, that's gonna light up the forearms, the triceps, and you're gonna feel the shoulders kind of like suck into position. And you'll even feel that that tension start to generate in your midsection, okay? So again, all from stimulating the grip, but also because we're asymmetrically loaded. We only have one load on the side of the body. So you're working this cross-body stabilization, which is why I highly recommend, if you're just getting into this, you practice it from a half kneel. Because as you're pressing, flexion, extension, you're working this cross-body stability here, all right? So that sums up part 1 of the 3 kettlebell exercises to boost strength endurance, so you can build a strong foundation of strength and get the most from your kettlebell workouts. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, like, and hit the notifications so you stay up to speed on the next video in this series that launches. So we're gonna be kicking these videos off Saturday mornings around 11 a.m. So do be sure to get notification of that, be sure to subscribe, like, hit the notification, and I'll see you on the next episode.